broken, it was created this way. Today I want to give 3 reasons on why we should defund the police. The police were built to protect and serve racism. For most people of color, policemen have brought loss and terror to our communities. So how much do we spend on policing? Today, the U.S. has collectively spent $100 billion a year on policing, as well as $80 billion on incarceration. The country is also the highest, or number 1, in people incarcerated a year. A report from the Center of Popular Democracy makes a case that investment in mental health, housing, youth development, and living wages would stabilize communities and prove more effective than policing. So imagine a world where there isn't fear of bringing the police into a situation, where Black people don't have to record or have anxiety from random traffic stops, where people of color aren't subject to the most extreme force when facing arrest, and where Black Lives Matter was an honest statement, where there are no relatives in custody for generations, and where people suffering from mental illness can trust the police. Where we can honestly say that we feel protected and served by the police. We are a long way from reaching these statements, but we have an honest path to making sure we can create a safe and healthy atmosphere for all members of society. So today I will be discussing 3 worthy reasons as to why we should defund the police. So number 1, why should we defund the police? Policing was first established in the U.S. to preserve white supremacy. The police are not colorblind to all people, and the institution in place is biased towards Black people. Slave patrols and night watches were the beginning of a system where law enforcement targeted slaves to preserve white people's investments and money. Fast forward to now, the establishment of racially targeted policing, such as the Third Strike Rule and the war on drugs, have helped fuel mass incarceration in the United States, with African Americans incarcerated at more than 5 times the rate than white people. At its root, the war on drugs works as the ultimate anti-urban policy, an attack on poor residents of color in inner city neighborhoods. So apart from the police disadvantaging a specific group, they also don't provide safe help. Policing does not keep us safe. Despite the billions of dollars spent every year on policing, there is an average of 37,603 gun deaths per year. Disproportionately young people of color. Black Americans are 10 times more likely than white Americans to die by gun homicide. Also, police have to deal with people having a mental health crisis, because there is no designated group in the public health sector that does those type of calls. Police officers doing wellness checks have led to terrible outcomes because they have not been trained to minimize the risk of their own lives by using force, and in many cases it's not needed, and people often end up dead. For example, Deborah Dahmer was a woman who had schizophrenia that had written an open letter saying that she thought one day if she was off her medication she might get killed by the police. And that's exactly what happened to her when the police showed up and she had a break. So if we could just start with the belief that it is everyone's right to live in a safe environment filled with peace, we need to take down the institutions that were never intended for us to get ahead and relocate those resources for solutions that are designed to create healthy, safe, and sustainable communities. Knowing that we spent billions of dollars on police from our own tax money and seeing that these statistics back up our claims that they are not helping, the following is a solution where money can be better spent to help our communities. The U.S., again, collectively spends $100 billion a year on policing, while investments in education, healthcare, housing, all the other development programs often are the first to experience budget cuts, especially in poor communities and communities of color. For example, New York City spends more money on policing than it does government-funded programs such as the Department of Health or the Youth and Community Development Program. Our tax dollars must be relocated from harmful institutions to programs that could benefit our community and make space for real change. So, to conclude, I have given you 3 reasons as to why we should defund the police. I explained that we invest a lot of money into our policing here in the U.S. and the sad truth behind the institution's agenda. Police brutality, gun control, and the BLM movement are not matters that we should take lightly. They are serious and prevalent issues in America, and every citizen should reevaluate how we deal with safety. So remember, we are trying to defund, not dismantle the police.